What if the home you choose for your retirement quietly drains your savings or gives you more freedom than you ever had during your working years? Today, we're breaking down one of the biggest and I think most overlooked retirement decisions. Should you choose a condominium or a single family home? Because the wrong choice can cost you thousands of dollars, and the right one can simplify your life in ways you never expected. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about retirement planning for the rest of us. That's those of us who don't have seven-figure retirement portfolios, kind of middle-class retirement. If you're heading into retirement or you're already there, housing isn't just about where you live. It's also about how you live. Very important. So today we're going to walk through the pros and cons of condos versus single-family homes, specifically for retirees, and we're going to look at both housing types. This is going to include costs, lifestyle, risks, and a few things most people really don't think about until it's too late. My own situation, my wife and I currently live in a condo, but we've lived in both condos and single-family homes over the years, so I feel qualified to speak to both living arrangements. I'll add my own thoughts on individual elements of the debate as the topics come up. Let's start by looking at the big picture. There's a core difference between the two housing types. A single-family home gives you control, space, and ownership independence. A condominium gives you convenience, simplicity, and lifestyle independence. I want to spend a moment on the difference between ownership independence and lifestyle independence. Ownership independence is the kind that comes from, you own the property, you can do whatever you want. Some people, that is super important. To others, maybe not so much. I'm in that camp. I don't think it's that important. Lifestyle independence, that's the standard for me. That's what I want, more time, and that's basically what lifestyle independence is about. And that favors condominiums because you just don't have all the minutia of taking care of the property. Obviously, I have a bias. I prefer condos because life is just easier in a condo. But that's just my own opinion. Neither housing type is better across the board. It depends entirely on your priorities. There's so many elements that go into this. Let's look first at the cost difference. And they're not as simple as they look. Sometimes they can appear simple, but here's the catch. With condos, you usually have a lower purchase price, and that can matter when you're first starting to retire. You're looking to preserve as much capital as possible to generate income. And the less you spend on your house, the better. It's not always true, but generally speaking, condos are 1/3 to 1/2 less expensive than a comparable single-family house in the same area. However, you do have monthly HOA fees. And the negative to that, even if you're comfortable with the amount when you first go in, those fees are going to increase. I'd like to say they can increase, they will increase. That's my own experience. Plus, you also have special assessments that can hit unexpectedly. So, for example, the neighborhood might have to replace the roof on your building. They might have to repave the parking lot. They don't have enough money for that. They're supposed to have that in replacement reserves. It's usually in the condo documents laying out that they have to have that. They almost never have them, or if they do, they're inadequate. So they come up with a special assessment. That could be a couple $1,000s or more. Some neighborhoods, it seems like that happens every year. That's something you have to be prepared for. Single-family homes, more expensive to purchase up front. Typically, you don't have HOA fees. That's not always true, especially in the Sun Belt. A lot of the neighborhoods now, the newer ones, have HOAs because there are common elements in the neighborhood that may be a neighborhood of hundreds of single-family detached homes. But if they have a common area swimming pool, an entranceway that has to be maintained, tennis courts, a gymnasium, a clubhouse, anything like that, there's likely to be an HOA fee. And it's a lot less. It might be a few $100s a year, but it depends on the neighborhood. If you have other amenities, let's say, for example, the neighborhood is located on a lake shore, it's probably going to be a more expensive fee. Also, if there's a golf course, even if the golf course membership is not required, it could be an optional thing, you're probably still going to pay a higher fee just because it's a golf neighborhood. The ironic thing is whether you own the house in a non-HOA neighborhood or in an HOA neighborhood, you will still be responsible to replace the roof, the HVAC, the furnace. You'll be responsible for lawn care, snow removal, property repairs, all of that. I kind of think of a neighborhood with an HOA, a single family neighborhood with an HOA, as being the worst of all possible worlds, because you have all that property maintenance that's on you, plus you have the HOA fees. So anyway, here's the trade-off. Condos mean you have predictable or more predictable monthly costs, at least until they're not with a special assessment. Houses, costs are a lot less predictable, but you have more control over the property. It depends on, which you prefer. Maintenance and physical effort. This is a big thing once you hit retirement. And this is where things start to get real in retirement. With condominiums, exterior maintenance is handled for you. I kind of think exterior maintenance is about 2/3 of the maintenance burden on any house. Whether you own a condo or a single family house, you're still responsible for the interior. But the harder work, the more expensive, always seems to be on the outside. So, with a condo, there's no yard work. There's less physical strain. That's something to think about as you get older. Single family homes, you or someone you hire handles everything. That's snow removal, landscaping, repairs, all of it. And that can become a burden as you get older. And here's an honest question. You have to ask yourself this. Do you want to be climbing ladders or calling someone else who will do it for you? You may be okay doing that when you're 65. You may not be okay doing that when you're 75 or 80. It's just something to think about. There is an important point that weighs in favor of condos for retirees. And overall, you may be able to maintain a single family house quite early in your retirement years. But you'll almost certainly reach a point where you'll physically no longer be able to take care of the property. Or you may reach a point where just emotionally, your head's not in it anymore. At that point, you'll either need to rely on paying others to do the work for you, which will increase the cost of living in that house. You may need to rely on friends and family to take care of the property, possibly becoming fully dependent on them for the maintenance of your property. That's a good way to lose friends and family, by the way. Or you'll need to change your living arrangement either to a condo, to an apartment, or some sort of senior housing arrangement. One word of caution on the last option. Changing your living arrangement may be much more difficult in your later years than it will be early in your retirement. That's likely because early in your retirement, you'll have better control over both your physical abilities and your finances. So you'll have more control of the situation, not only selling your property, but also choosing and moving into the new one. When you get to the point where you're older, maybe your attention span's not there, maybe physically you just can't do it, it's going to be a lot harder. Or maybe less special needs, who knows? Big category here, lifestyle and freedom. This is huge and it's often emotional. Single family homes offer more privacy. Can't argue with that, especially if you have a nice distance between the properties. More space, it's not just more living space. You've got property, front yard, backyard, side yards, basement, whatever the case may be, attic access. We have an attic in our condo, but the scuttle to get in there is so small that a human being can't fit in, not an adult anyway. And you can't fit any boxes or anything up there. There's no storage up there. It's huge, but you can't access it. Usually in a single family house, it's easy to access the attic. So you also have the benefit of no shared walls. And I can tell you from living in a condo, a lot of times you do hear the noise going on the other side of that wall. It's not bad for us, but sometimes you hear it more than others. If somebody's on a treadmill or something like that, you might hear it. You also have freedom to modify your property. You can paint your house any color you want. You're in a condo, they're going to decide that for you. Condominiums offer closer proximity to neighbors. That can be very important if you're very social. There's generally more options or opportunities, I should say, for social interaction, because a lot of condos do have, they set up activities. It might be something like, pool related activities, walking clubs, biking clubs, working out at the gym, whatever. They may have regular gatherings in the clubhouse, all that sort of thing. You also have freedom from exterior property maintenance. Obviously that's a common theme with condos, one of the biggest advantages. But you also have HOA rules, and they can be quite restrictive. And I will say, if you've never lived in a condo or you're contemplating buying one, make sure you get a hold of the covenants and restrictions. Study them in detail. Know exactly what you're stepping into. Most people will say, oh yeah, my HOA is great. Living in a condo is great. It's great until you run afoul of one of those rules and the HOA comes down on you, and you'll realize it's not a democracy. I always say one of the disadvantages in any HOA neighborhood is that you are not a full owner of your property. You're a junior owner, junior to the HOA. They're the primary, you're secondary, because they have the veto right over anything. Single family houses, or rather, condos, do offer, again, built-in community, big plus when you're older, and amenities like a pool, a gym, walking trails, tennis courts. And a lot of them, the larger ones at least, will have security. They'll have a security gate, they'll have cameras, they may even have security guards 24/7 riding around in golf courts, patrolling the neighborhood. So as you get older, you might appreciate that security. So it comes down to this. Do you value independence or convenience and community? And if you value independence, is it ownership independence, the kind that comes with a house, or lifestyle independence that's more common with condos? Let's talk about the risk factors of each property type. And they're often the type that most people miss. In other words, answering the question, what could go wrong with either property type? And there's a lot that can go wrong with either. With condos, you could have HOA mismanagement. This is not, unfortunately, as uncommon as we like to believe. The people who are on the boards who manage the condos' finances are elected. They're independent people. They may or may not have strong financial backgrounds. And that could be a problem. Do they have the ability to manage the budget such that they're going to keep the expenses within the realm of the revenue that's expected to come in? Do they have a concept of setting up replacement reserves for perfectly predictable replacements like roofs, parking lot repavement, etc.? If a condo is mismanaged, you're going to be dealing with rising fees. Well, rising fees, I think, are inherent to any kind of HOA, even in a detached neighborhood. But they're going to rise faster in a neighborhood where you've got financial mismanagement. Also, special assessments that we've already discussed. These can be thousands of dollars, and sometimes they hit annually. That's just part of the nature of the beast. You can't get away from it. Another situation people don't like to talk about, because they always think in terms, especially in retirement, you want to think in terms of your forever home. As a Bible-believing Christian, I don't believe anything is forever, including us. So you never get your roots in too deep, and I never think of anything as forever, certainly not a house. Sooner or later, you may have to exit the property. One of the negatives with a condo is when the housing market goes down, the condo market goes down lower. Back in the 08 financial meltdown, a lot of condos became unsaleable at any price. It wasn't just that the price dropped. There were neighborhoods that had hundreds of condos, and there hadn't been a sale in over a year. It's just that, there's too many identical houses competing with one another, and nobody wants to own a condo in a bad market. Single family houses, they have their own expenses or their own, special problems. Large unexpected repairs. Now, they're the ones that are going to happen, like the roof repair, replacing the components, that sort of thing. But they're also the unexpected ones. All of a sudden, you realize you got faulty wiring in the house because it hasn't been replaced in 30 or 40 years. Now you've got to replace the wiring. I have no idea what that costs, but I know it's big time. Same thing with the plumbing. You could also have problems with like a sinkhole in the backyard and all of a sudden realize, or maybe your property's suddenly in a flood zone. It wasn't before. Either way, those things are going to be expensive. Again, we've already talked about this property upkeep becoming overwhelming. It could get more intense with time, not only because you're getting older, but the property is getting older as well. So older properties just need more. And then if your mobility declines for any reason, isolation is more likely in a single family house just because of proximity alone. So neither option is risk-free. They just come with different types of risk. You have to decide which works best for you. I think that location actually matters more than property, and that's consistent with the realtor's creed of, with real estate, the 3 rules of real estate: location, location, and location. And this is something people get wrong. It's not just a condo versus a house. It's where either is located. So a well-located property would be near healthcare facilities. Don't underestimate that. Even if you're in good health when you retire, anticipate that that's going to decline. You're going to want access to, as many good healthcare facilities as possible, which means you don't want to go moving 100 miles away from the nearest hospital. Availability of grocery stores. Do you want to be driving 20 miles to grocery stores, or, is 2 miles right down the road a better idea? You want to be close to your house of worship if that matters to you. Close to family and friends. One of the things I don't want to do is get away from family and friends as I get older, because I depend on them more than ever before, not just for physical needs. At this point, we really don't have those, but for, emotional support, camaraderie. We all need that. Walkable areas, whether it's a condo or it's a, single family neighborhood. Do you have walkable areas? Because you're going to need exercise. Walking is the most basic type of exercise, generally the easiest for the elderly. Proximity to entertainment and cultural amenities. You're going to want things to do. Restaurants, movie theaters, live theaters, all that sort of thing, museums, whatever. Maybe even like here in New England, we have a lot of just classic old New England towns. There's fun to visit, hang out, and go have lunch or something like that. We're also close to the beach, the mountains, the lakes. Those are all nice to have. Proximity to public transportation. You may not need it now, but when you get older, you might occasionally need the bus or something like that. Also, police and fire protection. How close are you to the nearest firehouse? That could be a big one, because if your house catches on fire, it makes a big difference whether the fire station is a mile away or 10 miles away. All of these can matter more than the type of home itself. So always look at the surrounding area and make sure that it's conducive with what you expect the area to have. This is, again, especially important as you age and mobility begins to decline. Who should choose which property type? A condo might fit better if you want low maintenance, you travel often, you're just not home as much. You prefer predictable living or predictable expenses. You don't have to worry about, needing a new roof or whatever. It's not on the problem list for you. And you like built-in community. A single family home might be better if you want space and privacy. You don't mind managing the upkeep. You want full control over the property, and you want to age in place with modifications. That's kind of a crapshoot right there, because you don't know. At the time you make that decision, you may be in good health, but you don't know where you're going to be in 10 or 15 years. But generally speaking, it's easier to modify a single family house than it is a condo. Let's wrap it up. At the end of the day, this isn't just a financial decision. I know I've been talking a lot about the money aspect, but it really is also a lifestyle decision. The best choice is the one that supports your health, your mobility, your finances, and the kind of life you actually want to live in retirement. Because retirement isn't just about holding on to a house. It's about building a life that works for you. If you found this helpful, hit the like button below and subscribe to the channel for more real-world retirement strategies. And I'd love to hear from you. Are you leaning toward a condo or a single family home? Are you living in either right now and plan to stay there? Drop it in the comments and let's talk about it. And thank you for watching.